Apple is pouring $500 million into US rare earth supply chain, partnering with MP Materials to source key magnets for iPhones and Macs from a Texas facility. The move not only reduces Apple's reliance on China, but also positions the company at the heart of America's push to localize production of critical components. Comes just days after the Pentagon invested $400 million in the same supplier, cementing MP's Materials as a linchpin in both commercial and defense manufacturing. Let's head to Miami. We're joined by Brad Gastworth from Unearthing Opportunities. Where go Apple usually goes the rest of the tech industry. How significant is this move?
I think it's quite significant for this investment into MP Materials. I mean, it's sort of interesting that it does give that Pentagon a couple of days and some people to follow that investment. And now we have, the bellwether Apple saying they're also making a significant investment in the rare earth minerals company. Many companies are going to need to diversify outside of China for rare earth. This is one of the only companies that really can supply rare earth in the United States, and I do expect others to make deals with MP as well.
Why is Apple investing in rare earths right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few reasons here. And number one, I think given the fact that China has such a stronghold, I think it's 70% of minerals globally. One, I don't think they want to be super reliant just in that region. I think two, as you have to mine it, I think it's the right time as it's going to be, a future use case. It's not going to be immediately used from MP. So I think Apple's just thinking about there. And it's really just diversification, but I think it's a smart move and something they need to do.
How critical are these magnets to Apple devices? Give us an understanding.
So the magnets itself, the minerals are used for every semiconductor chip made. So, in the process materials, rare earth minerals are used. So really, you could look at any conductor that needs to use rare earth minerals. So it's incredibly important to the process. And given the fact that they are now building a lot of the semi-components themselves, it's even more important for them relying on the material component.
What does MP Materials gain from this deal? Just give us a bit of understanding of that company.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually going to certainly help them finance the production of the mining. I think this is going to certainly help financials because they're going to have these long-term agreements, these LTAs in place with Apple, even in the Pentagon. And again, I mean, to your earlier comment, Aaron, I do expect some of these other large companies here in the United States to probably also have follow-on deals. So I think financials are going to, significantly benefit for the company, and I think this is just the beginning.
What does it all mean for, I guess, a shift and an impact in that shift of global tech pricing? Because so much reliance has been on China and also on Taiwan. And under President Biden, there was a move to bring it back to the United States. Obviously, as the world gets a bit more tense, probably makes sense. But could it shift the impact of global tech pricing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. The real answer is I don't know. I think you will see ultimately a majority of things still being built in Southeast Asia. The U.S. just can't compete on pricing. So that's number one. But you will see, certain components and certain manufacturing, especially the ones that are almost entirely robotic and automated. Those type of manufacturing can certainly happen here in the States. But when you need to have personal interaction and human interaction in a manufacturing process, we just cannot compete. So, there's a lot of components and a lot of parts that you still need that human element, and those are going to stay in Southeast Asia. But yeah, I think on the pricing side, I think consumer prices are going higher, and I think it depends on what ultimately happens with tariffs and, the relations with the two countries to see if that gets followed on to the consumer, passed on to the consumer or not.
It's interesting because President Trump and Biden don't share much in common, as we know, but they do share in common the belief that the US needs to bring back a lot of its manufacturing, but also the power, essentially, that is handed Taiwan and China. And we've seen the data center announcements over recent days. We've seen Meta talking about it. Now we've seen the president in Pennsylvania talking about it, $95 billion or so. Let's have a listen to what the president's saying about that.
We're back in Pittsburgh to announce the largest package of investments in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it's not even close. I don't imagine it's too close. I don't think second is too close. That's a big statement. This afternoon, 20 leading technology and energy companies are announcing more than $92 billion of investments in Pennsylvania. And if you want, we could probably get them up. Let's talk to them right now.
All right, there he is, spruiking, of course, the amount of money going into this and data centers and power for data centers as well. How significant is that? And what does it say about the relationship between the White House and also many of these tech companies at the moment? It feels pretty transactional.
It feels very transactional, Aaron, and it seems like we're getting these announcements immediately after these companies are meeting with the president. So you're absolutely right. It feels incredibly transactional. Even the meeting with the NVIDIA CEO, then you get a NVIDIA deal. You have the Google CEO, you get a Google deal. Trump and Cook recently met, and now you got that Apple investing in MP. Yeah, to me, it seems incredibly transactional. And I think, from a power standpoint, it makes sense. AI takes up a significant amount of power. And I think you're going to see these data centers globally get invested for AI. Yeah,
the president also saying that he thinks that US energy will have to double to get it all happening because of the amount of power needed. We'll leave it there for now. Brad Gastworth there in Miami. Appreciate your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.